Reasonable adjustments digital flag. What is equity? Equity is about understanding that not everyone can access society and services in the same way. Equity gives people the tools and support to allow them to access society and services. Tools can be equipment such as ramps or resources such as information, training, or computer software. Adjustments are changes that help remove barriers for people with disabilities. Example of reality to liberty buying a tin of soup. In reality, people's experiences of society and services will likely be filled with inequity. For example, some people cannot reach the soup on the top shelf in a supermarket.
Equality gives people the same tool and support to access society and services. For example, the same step to reach the soup, some people still cannot reach. Equity gives people tools or support that is right for them to access society and services. For example, a ladder or a carer to help reach the soup. Liberty is removing barriers from society and services to allow people to access them. For example, putting soup on every shelf so everyone can reach it.
What are reasonable adjustments? Reasonable adjustments are the changes services must make sure people with any disability can access them. People with a disability should be able to access services just as easily as people without a disability as much as possible. My autistic son wasn't able to access the GP because the waiting room was just too busy and noisy. Family carer.
Examples of reasonable adjustments. A request for a longer appointment to allow the person time to understand what is being said. Shorter appointments. Maybe need two as long appointments don't work or are stressful. For a British Sign Language interpreter to be in the appointment. Wheelchair accessible ramp. A room which is accessible for wheelchair users to get into. Information in easy read, plain English, larger font. Communication in Makaton, British Sign Language, spoken rather than written.
Information in short sentences with only 1 or 2 points at a time. Quiet area to wait away from other people or noisy environment. Needing someone to be with the person, family, friend, or support staff. Visits before your appointment to help you feel more comfortable by showing you what will happen ahead of time. Help with physical examination, e.g., a plan in place or someone with you. Help when needing blood tests or injections. Technology, e.g., communication aid tablet, iPad, or phone to aid communication or to keep someone occupied.
Support with consent to treatment. Use of a hoist in order to lie on an examination bed, or alternatively, an appointment in the person's home where they do have a hoist. Waiting outside or in the car rather than the waiting room until called. Could appointments be done somewhere more familiar to avoid stress, such as their home? Wearing regular clothes instead of a uniform can help if uniforms bring back bad memories. We know there will be more examples as reasonable adjustments are based around what the individual needs. I need a hoist scales to weigh me in the doctors as I am in a wheelchair, person with a disability.
What does the law say about reasonable adjustments? The law says services must make sure people are given equal access to services and reasonable adjustments are made.
The Equality Act 2010 says everyone should have the same opportunities, including people with a disability.
The Accessible Information Standard makes sure health and social care give information to people with a disability or sensory loss in a way they understand.
The Reasonable Adjustments digital flag is a note on a patient's record to say what reasonable adjustments they need. It helps identify and record the needs of people with a disability. Some health and social care staff can then see what reasonable adjustment people need. It helps them know and meet the needs of people with a learning disability. The dentist didn't know my brother uses a wheelchair. Sibling carer.
Who might need reasonable adjustments? Please note that to create a digital reasonable adjustment flag, the person's need for an adjustment must be as a result of their disability or impairment. The need for reasonable adjustments is based on impairment. An impairment makes some things harder for people to do. People might need reasonable adjustments if they have an impairment that makes it hard to do daily activities.
Examples include lifelong conditions such as a learning disability, conditions that get worse over time such as diabetes, physical conditions such as loss of hearing, sight or mobility, conditions that change all the time such as clinical depression and anxiety or dementia,
How to make sure the reasonable adjustment digital flag is on your health records. Health or social care staff should ask about reasonable adjustments during your appointments. They may also ask when writing to your family member in an appointment letter. They may offer a form which asks about any reasonable adjustments needed.
you can tell your GP or hospital about any reasonable adjustments you need. You can ask them to record it on a reasonable adjustments digital flag. You will be asked if your needs have changed over time.
We are keen to hear examples of what has worked and what hasn't worked around reasonable adjustments. If you live in Essex, please email info@essexcarersnetwork.co.uk. If you live in Suffolk, please email info@aceanglia.com.